I thought we'd do some high school memories today. I'm going to show you my high school at the beginning or the end, or maybe as the thumbnail, or both, both three. I don't know. I'm going to show you my high school graduation picture, or not the graduation, but the senior portrait. That's what I'm trying to say. So I'm going to ask you some questions and tell you a little bit about me. What group were you in? Were you in with the jocks? Were you in with the nerds? So we didn't call them nerds back then. Were you in with the band? What group were you in? We had surfers because I lived in San Diego. I wasn't in, I had friends from all of the groups, but I wasn't in any particular group. What was your band like? My band, we were the Helix Highlanders, and my band had bagpipes and kilts. They had other band stuff too, but they had bagpipes and kilts because we were the Highlanders. It was like green and white and gray or silver were our school colors, and they wore these green and white and silver kilts. And I lived, the first year of high school, I went to a different school. I was the Matadors, and our colors were red and black, which I like better actually. But then we moved, and then my last 3 years I went to the door slammed, and I was like, was that my daughter-in-law? She's bringing groceries. Do we need to help with that? But I don't think that's her, but it might be. Anyway, I lived right when we moved to where I lived by the second school that I went to. We lived in an apartment house. I mean, the school was here, there's a street here, and the apartment house was there, so it was like directly across the sides to the side of the high school. And it was in San Diego area, so we went to the beach a lot. And back in those days, everybody chip in what change you could find, and you get $1, and that'd get you like a quarter of a tank of gas to go to the beach and back, because gas was like 26 cents a gallon. It was cheap back then. I graduated in 1967, so 53 years ago. That shows you how old and ancient I am. I was 17 when I graduated from high school, 17 when I started college, just because of the way my birthday fell. My best friend's name was Diane Lily Blade, and she lived about 4 miles away. And back we'd hoof it back in those days. I would on the weekends, there was a movie theater that played double. Back then the movie theaters played 2 movies. There was an A movie and a B movie, and I would meet her on Saturdays at the movies, which was the halfway point, and then we'd walk over to her house and I'd spend the night and whatever, Fridays, Saturdays usually. And then I'd walk home the next day, and it was a good 3 miles at least, maybe 4, but kids can't walk half a mile now without needing you to drive them around somewhere. What else? Really, I was mostly got A's and B's, and used to make my dad mad because he knew I was capable of getting all A's. I was just being lazy. I took college prep track. There was this, in my junior year, there was these 2 teachers that one was famous for her horrendous tests, and the other one was famous for their year-long paper that you had to write. So in my junior year, they decided to team up and team teach, and I had to do her horrendous tests and his year-long horrendous paper. So that was pretty brutal. It prepped me for college, though. Back when I went to high school, you could not wear shorts or pants. You had to wear a dress, and it had to hit mid-knee, and no spaghetti straps. Even something like this you couldn't wear. You had to have at least a sleeve to here, or you'd have to have a little jacket, or like cardigan sweaters were in back then. The twin sets where it's like the sleeveless sweater underneath and then the long sleeve sweater over the top. But right after I got out of high school, they started letting people wear pants, but not when I was in high school. And it was at the beginnings of the days of mini skirts. So we had to wear these things that came down to the knees, and we wanted to wear them short, like, the style was mini skirts. So we'd roll them up so they were really short. And the time they would check was when you'd go into gym. So we'd get ready to go into gym, and we'd roll them back down again so they were like the correct length. Because if they caught you wearing a too short of skirt, you had two choices. You had to either rip out the hem and walk around with a ripped out hem all day, or go home, and then you were in big trouble. So we mostly just rolled them up and rolled them down. If teacher we thought would rat us out was coming, we'd roll them back down real quick. Back then, I had really long hair down to here, and I had like I do now, I had a little bit of curl. So straight, long, parted down the middle, straight. We didn't have curling irons or straighteners, any of that. We would iron our hair on the ironing board to get it straight. Or if you wanted curls, you wanted big waves, you'd use a juice, like a frozen juice can. You'd roll your hair around that frozen juice can, get a big old thing like that with the juice cans in there and roll them, and you'd get just a big poofy wave from the juice cans. Those are a few of my memories from high school. I challenge all of you. I want to see your high school graduation picture and find out a little bit about your high school years.